back on hold. Let's go ahead and take it. Loki called in a little late, but let's see. We've got Atheist Loki from Richmond, Virginia, whose organized religion stops spirituality. You're on with Jen and Tracie. What's on your mind?
Oh, hello. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Actually, the last caller, you were just summing up exactly what I was going to say. So
well, hopefully you weren't going to say it's okay to commit genocide if something that's not human tells you to do it.
No.
Okay, good.
No. I guess just a slight little backstory is that I grew up, indoctrinated into Christianity, and when I had some things happen that most people would just run back to what they were taught, like let's say just something miraculous or miracle in front of you, people just ran back to their religion. I started questioning it. Like, how do I know that this thing that happened to me ties to what I was taught? Then when I questioned it, things just started unraveling, like my whole, since I was taught to believe a certain way, that I ended up having like a nervous breakdown because my whole world just collapsed on me.
Okay.
And the more I questioned, the more I seemed I found morality. I went against the holy book that pretty much has nothing but the guidance towards immorality in a certain way. So my thought is like, just if you look at history and like, women's rights, they had to fight for everything because that's in the Bible. Homosexuality, that's in the Bible. People having to fight for that.
Yeah.
That the lack of questioning, and you think you got the answer, you don't find morality in that.
Before you go on, I just want to say that is such a great sentiment, not just for morality, but for anything. When you think you know something, you don't investigate anymore.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And it goes for anything. So, yeah, you're right. If you think that you've got morality down, you aren't willing to talk about it anymore. You don't need to talk about it or question it anymore because you got it. It's been handed to you.
Yeah. And then when that's, when they go into politics, it seems like to me that old saying that if you don't learn from history, you're doomed to repeat it. It's like in 100 years, we might be killing homosexuals again or having slavery again. I find that religion itself could be construed as evil. So
many have been, right? I mean, we look back at a lot of them and think, whoa, that was brutal.
Yeah, and they, of course, they say it's good just because God said it was. I don't really consider myself an atheist, but I feel like I'm on a path that's similar to atheism. That
you might be.
I kind of started talking to animals and was able to talk to animals, and then that was the thing that.
Well, this call just took a turn.
Yeah. Well, to me, it's a simple communication. It's like when I say I can talk to them, I don't feel like it's in words.
You know what, though? I mean, as much as we're chuckling about this, there are entire cultural traditions that go into, communication with animals or other species. I mean, it sounds kind of goofy for us in the West, but there's a lot of cultures where, you have a conversation with Brother Bear. I mean, so...
I have a conversation with my French bulldog every day, okay?
I talk to my cats, and I really talk to them, and I even make up voices where they answer me.
Yeah.
So
I do that all the time too.
I don't judge. All right. So you talk to the animals. That's cool. We got Doolittle on the line, and we're good because we also do this.
Well, I've done it with wild animals in just a simple way of like, if a deer is when I would go out and have my cup of coffee in the countryside, and the deers would come around, I would give away my position and turn my two eyes away from them, and they seem to respond to it in a certain way. They know I'm not a predator. So then they, in turn, will not run away right away. Then they turn their body language towards me, and it's in a very simple way. There's communication. Okay,
no, I understand what you're saying. Yes, I do actually communicate with my cats in that vein. I pop a can, they come running. Right? I mean, it's like we have an understanding. So sure.
Yeah, but. I just started looking into like Loki, and I changed my name to Loki.
Okay.
Because if religion is evil, then I wanted to look at the other side of it. And when I studied the Bible and reading the Bible, my world fell apart even quicker because I was a Christian that never read the Bible. I just listened to the preacher. That I kind of started questioning, well, like, what did Satan do? You know, like, what did he do compared to what did God do? And it seemed like I would put his morality to God a little bit. Like, it just seemed like he just disagreed with God.
He seemed like a pretty straightforward, entity.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then when people tell me I'm going to hell because of this, I say, well, then I think you're going to heaven. You think you're going to heaven. But it seemed like God didn't even limit kicking people out of heaven either. So I kind of see him as like, there's no guarantee you're going to stay in heaven.
That's right.
Like he threw out angels and all sorts of stuff.
That's the deal you're being sold now. But, this could be a bait and switch.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's just as scary to me as the, but like I said, I've been rebuilding. Like, I don't really have a religion. In fact, I do feel like I'm just searching for a religion. I don't want to keep my mind closed to the possibility.
Keep searching.
And I feel like the more I look, the more moral I get. The more I feel like
I think a lot of it is just about recognizing the humanity of the person that's in front of you, right? Knowing that this is a human being and knowing that you're a human being and that at least on that level, there's this equity that can be grasped, that you and I are uniquely what we are and we are part of the same species. And that to me is the foundation, where you start stepping forward in morality. The moment that understanding starts to falter is where we start falling into immorality, in my view.
Right. I moved to a commune, and I think you put it real well. It's like empathy.
Yeah.
Is it like a commune of deer? I was just making a joke.
No, I wish. No, it was just a place where everybody works. There's no religion, and everybody kind of works cooperatively. And like I hear people call your show and say, where do you get your moral compass from? I see more moral compasses in a place like that everybody's working together. And I try to introduce it, and I still see religion even in people that have kind of walked away from their religion. They still got it in the back of their mind.
Yeah.
Like in the garden, they would set traps and kill animals because they call them pests. And my thought is like, well, has anybody ever thought of other ways other than just being the hammer? Like, it seems like it's just a simple Christian way to do things is humans are the best, everything's inferior, why don't we just kill it? And I couldn't get them to change their mind on it. I couldn't get them to. They just said the same way as religion. This is just the way. This is just the way we do it. And I started doing things because I raised the chickens. I started doing things that was different, and it was working. And I didn't understand how they couldn't see it. It seems like their minds are just as closed because I think religion is just so inerted into our culture that even when you're not practicing religion, you're still kind of believing it.
Yeah, I've seen a lot. The animal thing is really weird because there's people that within their own heads, right, have a weird inconsistency that they don't even recognize, where they will argue that it's, the similarity to humanity that they see in this other species, and then they'll turn around and say, but humans have to be held to a different standard because these things aren't human. And it's like, so there's this weird sort of, they should be treated with more equality, they should be treated with less equality. And it happens, within the same head.
Doesn't the golden rule apply to other animals as well? I mean, doesn't the golden rule, shouldn't that apply? Like, be treated as you would be treated? Like, I can understand if an animal attacked you, then...
in my opinion, the moral obligation is to the thing that returns the obligation. So if a tiger doesn't understand that it shouldn't kill me, then bets are off at that point.
Right. Yes. Yeah.
I mean, it's like, and it's a species-wide thing. It's like you're saying, you have a certain level of communication with a deer that you don't have with other people. You simply cannot have the same contract. And yes, we make exceptions for for humans on the periphery, and I get that. But from a species standpoint, I can never say that broadly I can adopt deer into my social contracts or my moral contract. Right. They are not capable, right? And like with the thing that eats its young, am I going to stop it from eating its young because now it has an obligation to, to the golden rule, and eating your children is not part of the golden rule, so I'm going to stop you from doing what you do as like another species. So it's like they have their own, each species has its own sort of understanding of what it does and what is acceptable for other members of its species. The less social they get, the less they have this cognition, right? There's just, you can get to a point where it's like the only need I have for other species interaction is to battle you for territory and have sex with you when I encounter you and you're something I can have sex with. And so for some species, that's it. That's the extent of their grasp of any sort of obligations, moral obligations. I certainly don't endorse like wanton cruelty, right? Like I wouldn't say that, you know, people should go out and be psychopathic toward anything. You know, it's like I understand.
I think that's what I'm talking. I think that's what I'm saying. Like the wolves, you know, the wolves would eat the sheep, and that would jeopardize our survival.
Yeah, they're not saying, hey, you know, we treat the sheep like we'd want to be treated, right? Like they don't have that in their head.
Yeah.
So in fact, they have the same thing in their head. They want to eat the sheep just like we want to eat the sheep.
But they don't eat each other, right? That's what I'm saying. But the wolves don't eat each other. And so that's the thing. It's like they have a grasp that between the wolves, we got an understanding.
Right.
And between tribes of wolves, we have an understanding. This is our territory. You come into our territory, we're going to fight for it, right? So the wolves have understandings in their own groups. They have understandings in their out groups. They have no understanding with a human being. If you come at that wolf, it is a totally different, like you are not the wolf. The wolf does not recognize you as a wolf, and it will either run away from you, attack you. Like, I mean, that thing is going to do whatever it does, and it does not treat you like the respect that it shows another wolf.
Right. And well, the thing I thought of way back when the religious, you know, was religion was pretty dominant, that we decided to go to war with the wolves and went and hunted them to extinction. I feel like that is inflicting the will.
Yeah, stuff like that still goes on. And, you know, I'm not down with like driving something to extinction. I think that's crap, you know, and, inhumane.
We could have thought it through and said, hey, could we build a better fence? Could we get dogs of our own to protect the sheep? You know, it seemed like religion always wants to just reach for that hammer.
Yeah, I'm not down with just killing a thing to kill it, right? Like,
seems...
No, it's not...
Well, the thing is, I don't think those kinds of killings were motivated by religion.
Oh, yeah, that's true. I mean, I'm not sure either.
No, that's just a thing in general. Sorry, I missed that. But I think Jen's right.
Well, I guess when
he's talking about the dominion
apart.
aspect of it. I mean, I get what you're saying about the dominion aspect. And I think that dominion aspect weirdly works two ways. Right, so there's the dominion aspect, then there's the caretaker, right? We are the caretakers of the world, and to me, the whole point should be it shouldn't be dictated by a supernatural written book that you believe. You know, it's like you should just be looking at this and saying, you know, what's the thing to do? How should humans behave here?
We're neighbors on this planet.
Yeah. I mean, it's not that I disrespect another species, but I recognize it's not human, and it recognizes I'm not it, right? Like I'm outside of its species. We get it, and I have that understanding with them. So I have the respect for them of being another species, of them having their own morality, of me having my own morality, that their morality applies to their group, my morality applies to my group. I respect that. I respect it.
Right.
I don't treat them, I see them as the same in that regard. And to me, when I try to say that, human morality needs to be applied to them, I think that's wrong.
Yeah, and I'm still trying to piece together when my world raveled apart. So I know I'm pretty negative towards organized religions. So I know that I've kind of gone to the other way of it, where I just seem to want to blame them for everything. I guess I'm still kind of angry and just a little.
Can I interrupt you for just a minute? Because I want to correct something I just said. I should not have used the word wrong. I wish I would have used the word disrespectful. I think it's disrespectful to the other species to not regard their morality as unique to them and our morality as unique to us. I think that's disrespectful to try to overlay our views of morality onto them. But I just wanted to correct it for myself and for the audience. Not necessarily, it didn't tie into anything you were saying. So I apologize for interrupting, but I did want to clarify that before we went too far.
No, I like the way you said caretakers. It should be, instead of the what I see in religion is that this world was given to us, and we can do with it as we please.
Well, but actually, I was saying caretakers is the flip side, because there's religious people who see us as that too, that we are somehow responsible for the world, and we're not. Now, do we have an obligation to sort of take care of ourselves and look out for the environment because we live here? Sure. I think there's a lot of reasons for looking out for stuff, but I think when we take this idea that we are somehow this dominant species that either domineeringly dominates or lovingly caretakes, we have got this attitude that's like way too inflated. Way too inflated.
Yeah. Okay, yeah.
We just need to be respectful, right? We need to respect that they are them, we are us. We interact. We are, it's bear, fox, bear,
See, this rabbit. Is going on the same lines as we're questioning, and the more you question, the more morality seems to just fine tune itself to. With the religious side of it, they don't, they just say, well, God said this, and they just run with it, and there is no fine tuning of morality. And I heard a comedian say one time, it's like, God gave you the planet. If that's what you say, then don't you think He'd want you to take care of it? Don't you think He would think that?
And it's like, no, I don't think God gave me anything. I don't think He thinks anything. It's like, no. But I will say, just to kind of like wrap this, maybe is this a fair assessment of what we're talking about here? That basically some of the things that we've said on the show before is that when you simply follow a list of rules, you're not really using any kind of morality. You're not questioning, thinking it through, or making a moral judgment. You're just following rules. But when you actually think about something, when you actually investigate and you consider it and you look at the different sides and you look at how you personally feel about it and what all these inputs that go into the judgment of it, and then you finally come out with a solution and you say, okay, here's the thing I can live with doing. To me, this is when you're at least trying to be moral. You may still do the wrong thing, but at least you're exercising moral judgment, which is leagues better than following rules.
I agree with that 100%. In fact, I think you said earlier on this show that to just follow a list of rules is not